Hi guys, welcome to Learning Electronics Repair. It's that time again. Yeah, every week it happens. It's called booty time. I have a few more computers this week, so let's get stuck straight in and have a look at what we have. This one is a rather unusual looking ATX case again. You can see it says G3 on it, this one. Okay. And there's this rather unusual sort of folding door on the front. And you can see this has a card reader and some black drives in. So this is not such an old machine, but you never know, there might be something interesting inside it. Let's have a look. Well, once again, it has a perspex window in the side of it. So we can just take this off. Yeah, it's not plugged in, so we can see. And we have a PCIe machine. So this one isn't particularly old again. GA965. So this looks like a socket 775, I believe these are. Gigabyte motherboard with all these gold coloured pipes on it. Or whatever colour you want to call that. Silent pipe. Sometimes these motherboards can be worth a bit of money, although they're 775. But the only way to find out really, let's dismantle this one, let's see what we've got, let's see if it's working, and let's see if we have any money here, or at least more than the 15 euros I paid for it. But first, let's have a look at something else. Today's video is sponsored by the very nice people at SolderStick. SolderStick make a range of connectors that are useful for a variety of jobs, and they've sent me some of their T-tap connectors to try these. So in the kit here we have 3 different sizes. It tells you the size in millimeters, AWG, and we can see that they're color coded, and one connector consists of 2 parts. We have this little crimp on clamp thing, and we have a spade connector. Okay, so the 2 make up one connector. These are ideal when you want to connect to an existing piece of wire, maybe automotive or marine repair work, something on some piece of machinery out in the field. The way we use them is quite simple. So we take our wire that we want to connect to. We don't have to cut the wire or remove any insulation. We put it inside this little clip, okay? You can see there, it's sitting in the groove, and then we squeeze this together with a pair of pliers. So I'll take an ordinary pair of pliers and we will do this. Now, when it's clicked into position, you will know because it does actually make a click if we listen carefully. Hear that little tick? Hope it was loud enough for you to hear. That is now clamped onto the wire. All we need to do now is put one of the spade terminals onto the wire we want to connect to this one. To do this, we just need a standard crimping tool. So I'll insert a piece of wire into the spade terminal. We'll take out a crimping tool. Okay. And we will crimp the wire. Like so. I think that was my knuckle actually that went click then. Must be a sign of age or something. Okay, so that is fixed on there firmly. To join the wire now is simple. We just push the spade terminal over the other part. Just make sure we line it up so that the terminal goes inside the slot. Okay, and then we just push firmly. That's all the way in now, and that's connected. So let's have a look to see how good the connection is. We'll use the milliohm meter. I'll put it onto the lowest range, 20 milliohms. Let's have a look, see if it is zeroed. Not quite, but we can soon zero it. Okay, we zeroed. So on the orange wire now, this is our piece of wire. We will read some resistance. Wire has some resistance. What's it have? Well, it has about 4.6 milliohms. Okay, that's across that wire. How about to the red wire, which is a bit longer, by the way? Well, we have about 9 milliohms, 8.9. So we have a very good low resistance connection there between the wires. And this is strong and durable. If you do repair work out in the field where you may need to do this sort of thing, you'll know full well it's not easy to do. It can be very fiddly, especially when you're in a very confined space, for example, where you're working on some machinery. And this makes it easy, okay? We have a nice connection. We can actually disconnect it again if we need to do. And it works just fine. So I'm sure, guys, if you buy some of these, you'll find them very useful. They'll probably last you quite a long time. And if they don't last a long time, that means you are doing a lot of work and you needed them anyway. It will save you a lot of time. So give them a try. If you look in the video description to this video, you will find a special discount code with 20% off the normal price. I'd like to thank once again SolarStick for kindly sponsoring this video. And now let's go back to some old computers. Here's the motherboard. It's actually quite a nice looking one for what it is. So GA965P-DS4. Lots of heat pipes we can see everywhere on this one. I think we'll do the usual thing and check for short circuits on the 12 volts. I do notice this one, by the way, as well as having the 4-way connector here, also has a connector here, which again would be 5 and 12 volts. Interesting way they've done that. I think I have seen this before, but usually either just that one or just that one. Strange to have them both. The graphics card is this one, another gigabyte, GV NX76T256D. So this is a GeForce 7600 GT, that's what it actually is. Silent cooling again. We can try that also and see if it does want to work, although this is around the era when a lot of these chips are actually failing. This may be actually a little bit earlier than that era, we'll see. Okay, so let's just check on this one. We'll find a good ground. Well, there's no short circuit there, that's for sure. Okay, what's on this? So 1.8K. I'm not sure which end is which. This end reads open effectively. This end reads, does that go to the 12 volts on here? No, they don't connect to the same place, that's for sure. So let's see if that's 12 or 5. Well, in fact, it is the 12 volts. So I'll connect it up and I'll connect the other one up and then we can see what this actually does. There's no onboard VGA on these motherboards, so I've left the RAM in for now. I've put the analyzer card in so we can see what it does or doesn't do. We have the start button, we have a speaker. So let's see if we can get anything out of this on the analyzer card or any bleeps. So we'll power it up. And it comes on and stops and this goes, and then the fan starts, so it's working basically. We heard a bleep out of it, so this looks like a good motherboard, but I'll most likely have to put the graphics card in before we can see any output from it. Let's try the one that came with it. I fitted the graphics card and I've attached the capture card to it, so let's see if we get anything out of this. Well, yes, we do. So this one is working, at least it boots up. There was no hard drive with this machine, but it looks like we have a good working one at least. Let's have a look then to see if there's any profit in a motherboard like this. I have had 1 or 2 socket 775 that are worth good money and actually sold at least one of them for good money. So who knows? Maybe I'll get lucky today. The graphics card then, about £15. We can see one here which is sold. Okay, that's a very similar one to be quite honest. It looks like the same number here. It's another silent pipe one, so that's very much like the one I have. Mine's actually a GT rather than a GS. It is slightly different. Yeah, I don't see an exact same one that's sold, but there are some similar, so I'm pretty sure the price is also similar. Let's look at the motherboard and the sold listings. Well, there we are. So one sold with a CPU, nothing special in the CPU, 2 gig of RAM. Mine actually has 4 gig of RAM, £50. Another one sold for 68, and that's the only two I can see that have sold recently. One sold actually early this month, we can see it there. So it looks like I've got around about £70 worth between the graphics card and the motherboard. So that's not a bad return really on the €15 I paid for this machine. It's certainly worth buying for sure. Okay, well, we've had a quick look at that. There was nothing much to do, not very exciting, but it's nice to see it working. I have a few older machines in this batch, so let's have a look at one of those. While we're still here, we may as well have a quick look at which CPU we have on this as well. You never know your luck, as I always say. Well, there it is, Core 2 Duo, 2.13 gigahertz, nothing very exciting then, but at least we know. Here is the next machine. It has one black drive, one beige drive. This one actually has a sticker in the bottom, which may not be very clear on there, but it says Intel Inside Pentium 4. So if I'm lucky, this is an AGP machine. If I'm unlucky, it is a PCIe machine, and there's only one way to find out. Let's open it up. Or rather, let's have a look at the back. So we can see lots of USBs on this, 6 of them. And we can see that the power supply is missing, so I can actually see inside here. And this looks like this is another 775 machine. So almost certainly this isn't AGP, unless we're really lucky. Okay. We're really lucky. We are really lucky, okay? And I was actually wrong anyway. This is not a 775, it's actually a socket 478 with AGP. But that's okay, yeah, these have some value, especially one's Prescott 800. So this is the 800 megahertz front side buzz. ASRock motherboard, P4VM800. I'm pretty sure I've had these before. No hard drive again, just basically the machine. So let's get this one apart and we'll have a look. Here's our motherboard. There's no RAM fitted on this one. It was a bit dusty. I've given it a clean over. It's still fairly dusty and dirty, but we can see if it will work, I think, at least. We'll just check the usual things. So yeah, 12 volts looking good. This one has onboard VGA, but first I'll try and power this up without any RAM. We'll use the analyzer card, or put the speaker on, and let's see if it will actually boot up. The capacitors all look good on this one, so I'm quite happy with those. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't power this one up, so let's go for it. Okay, let's try. Well, it's booting. I'm probably saying no RAM with a code of DE. So that's a different code than we usually see for memory, which is usually something like C1 or C3. But these codes will depend on the type of BIOS on the board, whether it's Phoenix or a Ward or whatever, okay? Let's put some memory in it. I have a couple of 512Ks, we can put these in, they're matching ones. Kingston. Let's see how these go. Well, they click in nice and positively, that's a good sign. Okay. Power back on again. What does it do? Well, it goes further, it makes one bleep, so I think this will probably give us a picture. I don't have a capture card yet for VGA, so let's just plug it into the other monitor and we'll do it the old-fashioned way. And there we can see it's asking for a hard drive. Again, this one didn't come with one, but the chances are this is most likely working. I will switch it off again. We can go back on. We should at least see the boot up or post screen or something. Maybe a logo, who knows. Well, no, it just comes and asks to insert a boot device. Okay, so I'd say we do have another good motherboard here. Let's have a look to see if this one has any value. And I don't see any sold ones. Okay. That is similar, but it's an Asus, not an ASRock, so you really can't go anything much from that. That's a different one again. I think with this one, we need to have a look in the normal listings and see if any are for sale. Maybe that will give us some idea. Yes, there are a few for sale, £36, £30, that's actually boxed. Okay. Another one there, 44, 38, so about £40. So these are not particularly valuable at the moment, but that doesn't mean they may not be in a few years' time. So something like this, I will just keep hold of it. It's worth having to look to see which CPU we have, because you never know, we might have the valuable one. Probably not, but we might have. Let's have a look. The main problem with these, I have mentioned before, is the heatsink tends to stick to the CPU and the whole thing comes out of the socket. So you have to be very careful not to bend the pins on the CPU when you do this. Okay, see if we can just release the frame. And it's not taking the CPU with it. That makes a nice change. It's very hard and dry, this very dusty under here, as you can see. Try and clean this up a little bit and let's see if we have anything good. Well, we can see we have a 3 gigahertz. Okay, there, 3 gigahertz. So these unfortunately don't have any great value at all, maybe £10, maybe not even that. The 3.2s are worth a little bit, maybe 20 or so, but it's the 3.4, which are about £100. I've only ever found one and I did sell it at that sort of price. So not lucky, but not a bad one, I guess. Most common ones seem to be 2.4. Okay. I would probably leave this with the motherboard, and then eventually if I do sell it, the processor can go with it. So we're getting through these quite well today. I mean, we haven't found anything we've needed to do so far, which is maybe not conducive to make very exciting videos, but it's still fun to look at this stuff, yeah. So let's see what else we have. And this one is a much older machine. We can see it there from the front, so the optical drives are missing. This has like a sliding cover thing here, but no markings. It's also rather dismantled, so you can see there is a motherboard in there held in by something. Everything else seems to be in the right mess. Put a bit of light on it. Here we go. So you can probably see in there is a motherboard. Intel Pentium 3. I can see it has a CPU there. Intel Pentium 3 by the looks of it. Or Pentium 2. No, Pentium 3. But that's how it is. So whether this is working or if it's damaged, I have no idea. I guess we'll have to open this up and find out. And there it is. So the power supply is in here. Okay. Loose. The cooling fan is in here for the CPU. Loose. We have a graphics card in here. Loose. Okay. S3 Trio 3D 2X. Okay. This is the motherboard, which is just loose. and a floppy drive. I can see, well, bent pin here to start with. It's a QDI motherboard, Advanced 9. So this is quite nice. Pentium 3, 2 ISA, AGP, 3 RAM slots. It's broken because this is where the USB goes, and that's all broken off. Let's get it on the bench and let's have a look. So the first thing we need to do with this is have a look. This is obviously trash. This was the USB, 2 USB ports in there. There were just a number of pins hanging around. I think we probably need to take these off, to be quite honest. At least for now. Capacitors have gone. So we can see there a couple of bulge capacitors. In fact, these all look bad actually, even those are not really right, they're not flat. The other capacitors look okay. CPU is intact, we can say that much. Anything else that's damaged? Nothing obvious at least. Let's have a look further around. Okay. It's catching on the mat, dragging a little bit. This looks okay. Up here, so the North Bridge looks okay. This all looks okay as well. Obviously no battery fitted. Yeah, that looks all right as well. So it looks like it's just that damage around the USB that I can see so far. Looks okay. Right, so we have one motherboard with one rather trashed USB connector. I think I'll take this off actually. I always take these metal things off. I mean, that one fell off anyway. Don't want it to short against anything, okay? Waggle it around a bit. Yeah, they're just coming off. One there, bent over, one bent. So we can see where they are. I mean, I should be able to get a connector to fit onto this. I don't see why not. The question is, does this work? Well, we'll have to find out, yeah. I'll just check the CPU is okay in the socket. I think it should be. Yeah, all the pins are present on that. It's fine. Okay. Pop it back in again. Right. I can rest the original heatsink on. In fact, I'll put a bit of heatsink compound on this. It looks like there was just this pad or something before. Clip this on because it's best with the CPUs with a small dial like this one to use the pressure of the clips to hold the heatsink on properly. So here we go. Bit of gunge. Other end first. Okay. Right, so that's clipped on. CPU fan. Right, so no RAM. Then it's going to be analyzer card speaker, and let's see what this one does. Power it on, start. And this does nothing. Maybe if I put the other switch on the power supply might help. Try it again. This does something, but it doesn't try to boot. I've seen this behaviour occasionally in two different ways. One, when the analyzer is in this slot, I've known it to stop the thing from booting. So let's switch off. take this back out and just try it without it, see if we hear any bleeps. No, this doesn't bleep, but it switched off again by itself. Does it switch on again by itself? Doesn't want to start now. Okay. Oh, it does start. Give it a few seconds. No bleeps. Well, this time it didn't switch off by itself. Okay, let's put the analyzer card in, but I'll put it in a different slot. Now let's see what it does. Power on. All Fs. I'm going to fit a CMOS battery. Okay. Now what does it do? Doesn't boot all Fs. Don't feel anything getting hot. Ah, I wonder if it's these bad capacitors that's just stopping this one from booting up. I'll change them, but actually I'm not sure these are the ones on the V-core for the processor, but I will definitely change them. Now let's see if it works. I've changed these capacitors, so let's see if that made any difference. We'll just make sure the power supply is switched on this time. Yes, it is. Start. And it's booting. So obviously that was it. C1, no RAM. Okay, let's see if this actually works now. Let's try this with some RAM then, and let's see if it does boot up now. Power on once again.
I pulled the plug.
Something's changed. No, I've got power. I've put a stick of RAM in. Let's see if it will. Why would it come on anymore?
I have to step into the side.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Ah! That fooled me. I was going to measure. Next thing I was going to check for a standby on the power supply. Well, I didn't have any. That would do it. Right, I usually say I pulled the plug. I didn't understand what you meant. I thought you just were joking. Okay. I'm not infallible. Sabotage. Okay, here we go. No, here we go. Let's see if this will actually work with some RAM then. Well, it's started and it's gone past the memory area. So the next thing would be, yeah, graphics card. So let's try it. This is the graphics card that came with this. So we can try that. Again, it's VGA, so I can't use the capture card at the moment. I do have something to try for that when I get time to set it up, by the way. But we can, of course, do it this way. Power back on. What does it do? Looking good. Sounding good. And we have the QDI medal. Okay, so this one looks like it's working. All we need to do really is sort out this connector for the USB. Let me see if I can find something off a scrap board that will fit that. And I've just noticed, by the way, another bad capacitor on this. Clearly this one has also gone. It's a bit bulged, but it doesn't seem to be causing any problems at the moment. Obviously it does need changing, of course. So here's the frame of the USB connector. Let's take a look at it. Rather bent. Now I have some scrap motherboards around. Let me see if I can find something that looks like this. So I do have several of them like this. I'm not exactly sure which way round these connectors were in here. Were they the same direction? I guess we can work that out quite easily, because one end of this or the other will be ground. And if we look on this motherboard as well, we can just check the orientation and see if the ground is at the same end. If it is, I could use one of these connectors. If we look at the motherboard itself where the connector attaches, okay, so you can see there, you can see the 4 pins where the frame attaches and then the 2 rows of 4. Let's have a look at this one. Once again, the same frame, the 2 rows of 4. So it looks like it should actually fit. I'll see if I can get them both into the same shot. Just turn this round. Okay, you see there, just the opposite way round. Now, which end of these pins goes to ground? Let's have a look. So it looks like the one off our board, but it could be that these sockets are the other way up. So we'll have 5 volts at one end and ground at the other end. It may be they swapped over. Let's just have a look. So we need to make sure they are the same. I'll connect to ground, the ground point here, and we can have a look. This looks like ground. Yeah, that end's ground, and then this end will be the 5 volts. Okay. So we need to check that on our board. We also need to work out whether the backing plate will fit these correctly. Just zoom out a bit. There we go. So it's a bit hard to say because I can't get it in the right position, but it looks like it probably will line up. Let's look at our board. Okay, so you can see this overhangs a bit at the bottom, the same as with the other one. Yeah, and we need to make sure the polarity is the same. It looks like it probably is, because this looks like it is going to be the 5 volts here. Let's just go to ground. Go on ground. Yeah, there's no connection there. This end is ground. So the polarity is correct. Right, we need to remove these. We need to remove the broken one first, I would say, and then we need to get one off the scrap board. This shouldn't be too difficult. If we add some fresh leaded solder with some flux, we can probably use hot air and just pull these pins out. So we have some fresh solder, as I was saying. Okay, we need to get this out on all of the pins. I may be better to use the vacuum desoldering tool. I'm just going to try and push them out of the board. Okay. Yeah, it's moving. I have this mostly out. Let me get a pair of pliers, if it will just pull out. We'll wait till it focuses and then let's try. Yep, that's come off. That's out. How about the pins? Well, it's just a matter of getting hold of each one. And out they come. Okay. Now to clean the holes. This is by far the easiest way to do this, guys. I made at least 2 videos about it. And we proved it. I think these ones still have the ends of the pins stuck in them. Yeah, it's still in there. It's fell out now. Okay. Clean these. And that's ready to have a new socket fitted. Okay, just get a torch and check. I think maybe one hole isn't clear. No, I think you can see they are all clear. Yeah, I think, yeah, just one of them isn't clear. Let's fix it. Okay. Look again. Yeah, now they're all clear. Okay. The other board, we'll use a different technique on the scrap board because we want to take the socket all off in one piece. Okay, let's try it. So with this one, I'm going to add plenty of leaded solder and flux. And then I'm going to heat the whole thing up with hot air and grab the socket from underneath and pull it out of the board downwards. Okay, let's hope this works. Okay. So plenty of leaded solder. If it bridges all the pins, that's fine. This is a scrap board, so I'm not worried about it at all. I'm more worried about getting the connector off in one piece. Okay. So there we have lots of leaded solder on there. Now we'll take the hot air. I'll get ready with the pliers, but I won't grab hold of it straight away. I don't want to be taking heat out of it basically. So I'm just getting to the edge of it. Yeah, I can. Right, let's try it. So first of all, we want to wait till this solder melts. We should see it melt. Just touched a little bit. It's still solid at the moment. Still solid. It could take a little while to do this. You get quite a bit of heat into it. I have my hot air on 450. Maximum airflow. May help to warm the entire area a bit. That's why we swirl the hot air around, just heating up the entire area, and then concentrate on what we want to desolder. Not moving just yet. It's coming loose now, yeah, because it's moving. And it's out. There we have it. So I'll let that cool down, but it looks like we have it complete. All the pins are still there. So we should be able to fit this to our board. There it is, it's still quite warm. And we can see this has come out very nicely, yeah, no damage to the plastic. Still a bit too hot to pick up. But let's just get the worst of the dust off it. Okay, so there you see it. I'll let this cool down enough to actually be able to handle it easily, then let's try to fit it to our board. It's getting cooler now, it's still quite warm. I just want to remove the solder from the pins basically that go through the board. That one looks fairly clean now, just do the other ones. Okay. Turn it around. Try not to burn anything, like my fingers for example. Okay. I think they're okay. So the question is, does it fit? Let's have a look. I need to straighten these legs on the outer casing. I think it will fit. Again, I might need to remove a bit of excess solder from these. If so, I'll actually use braid to do it. Okay. Let's have a look. Well, yes, it's pushed into the board. It's not quite level, so I will in fact use a bit of braid to clean the legs. Okay. Turn it over. Try that. Yes, that looks nice and level now. Let's see if that is okay with the backing plate. Yeah, it's absolutely fine with the backing plate. Right, let's solder it in place. I'll just get a couple of the legs first. I just want to keep it at the level it is. Okay. Like so. Now we can get the large ones. Okay. Got a solder bridge there, no worries. Okay. Let's clean that up and have a look. Okay, once again we can just check with the blanking plate. Yeah, nice. How about that, guys? So probably the easiest way to test this is going to be to add a USB keyboard and just see if I can get into the BIOS, try it from both of the connectors. If I can get in with both, then we know they're both working. Okay, so let's try it. I have the USB keyboard plugged into the bottom one. Start, and I'll just hit delete. And hopefully we get into the BIOS. Yep, we're in the BIOS, so that's working. Try the top one. Okay. Power. Start again. Just tapping delete. And we're in the BIOS. Okay, so that's good. Next question then is whether this is worth any money. So this is a QDI Advanced 9. I don't even just see there with the reflection on it maybe, but this is an Advanced 9. It also has a model number up here, P6V693A. But we'll search for Advanced 9 first. From my experience, these QDI motherboards are relatively well sought after. Maybe £100, something like that. Let's have a look. Yeah, or a bit more. Okay, so that's one. They're asking 150. That's for parts only, that one. And there's another one there asking 125. That's the completely different board and parts only. Okay, so where I thought maybe a bit more, but this depends really on how much people are paying for them. Are they selling? Okay, so we can have a look. Sold items. And one sold, would you believe, for £43.27. That's parts only for £39. That's an Advanced 10, 137 sold with the processor GeForce 3, so a package. So it's hard to say. Obviously this one went quite cheap, but it was offered quite cheap. So I'm thinking probably they're still worth about £100, these boards. Unless somebody, of course, wants to tell me otherwise. The fact one sold for parts only for 39 pretty much tells me they're worth about 100 as well. Okay, so that's quite nice. Graphics card I don't think is really worth anything. We can have a look. It's that one, S3 Trio 3D/2X. Yeah, like £10, if that. Okay. But I still think we have £100 worth of motherboard here, so that was well worth fixing. I hope you enjoyed that again, guys. Nice look at some retro hardware. I think it's always fun to look at this sort of stuff. Quite successful this week, actually, compared to the last few weeks. Nice repair on that board. I'm very happy to see that working. There'll be plenty more of this coming up next week, so look forward to that too. And I will see you all soon on another Learning Electronics Repair video. Ciao for now, guys.